So for our next talk, we are going to have Nicolas Grekas from Symfony SAS, or Symfony, as we usually call it, who's a core team member of the Symfony core team. He will talk about getting the most out of Symfony 5, which is now being used in Easy Platform 3x. So yeah, I'll let you take the screen, Nicolas.
Sure. Can you hear me? Thank you, Andre.
Yes, indeed. Welcome.
Thank you. Is everything okay? Do you have my screen?
Yes, perfect.
So. Okay, so let's go. Thank you for hosting me. So today I'm going to tell you about Symfony 5, which is now embedded, of course, in Easy, as you know. So this is part of the blog post that announced the version of Symfony in Easy. Okay, so the blog post reads as version 3 now uses Symfony 5 instead of Symfony 3. And then the question is, what happened with Symfony 4? And actually, there's been some policy change for Easy. They decided to not go with 4.4, which is the long-term supported version of Symfony, the newest one that replaces 3.4. And why did Easy do that? That's what I'm trying to answer in the next slides. So first, the benefit of going with the latest Symfony version is benefiting, of course, from all new features. And the most important feature maybe is performance. That's what people like to have a look at. So this is a slide from Tobias Nihon, who is running a talk to get the most out of Symfony in terms of performance. And as you can see, he's showing us that the response time for the Hello page has been improved along the years. From Symfony 1 to Symfony 5, we reduced the page load time for the Hello world by a huge amount. And we did that by removing a lot of code from the hot path. So we made the existing features faster as much as possible, but the most efficient way to actually improve performance is to disable features that might not be useful, at least for some Hello pages. And so, yeah, that's what benefiting from Symfony 5 means, benefiting from progress on our side. So this is the roadmap of Symfony. So the roadmap of Symfony is not based on features, but it's based on the time. We know when the next version is going to be released, and we know when the current version is going to be put out of maintenance. So if you look at Symfony 5.0, it's going to be put out of maintenance in 2 months at the end of July. And we just released the Symfony 5.1 version, which is the newest Symfony version. So if you compare this to 4.4, it has been released 6 months ago and is going to be maintained until 2025 if you count for security patches, which is the yellow part on the right side. So going with 4.4 would have been the safe choice in terms of, just looking at the roadmap and saying, we take a stable base, only bug fixes are going to be added there for a few years so we can build on top. That was the previous reasoning of the Easy product and technical team. And we met 1 year ago, and actually I told them that Symfony 5.0 is maintained for an even longer period of time, provided they do the migration every 6 months to the next minor. So 5.1 now, I'm pretty sure the Easy team is working on supporting it for the next version of Easy, the next minor version, which means Easy will get support for Symfony 5 until the end of Symfony 5.4, which means 2025. In terms of bug fixes, if I'm not wrong, or maybe later actually. Okay, so anyway, it means it's stable and you are going to benefit from new features every 6 months, new Symfony features. Of course, there will be Easy features too. So Symfony 5 will have an end of life in November 25, and you'll get the features, right? So that's the big benefit of the new way of adopting Symfony 5 instead of the LTS version, the long-term support version. There are some policies in Symfony that make it easy to migrate from 3 to 4 to 5. What I mean here is that you know about semantic versioning. Semantic versioning is about minor version, so 5.1 should not break anything. If you have a 5.0 application, you should see no difference except new features and maybe new deprecations, which is fine. We have a backward compatibility promise in Symfony that applies to minor versions, and that is the technical way of applying semantic versioning to PHP. And then we have something else on top of that, and this something else is the deprecation policy. So the deprecation policy is about providing a way to move across major versions. So right now, Easy has decided to use Symfony 5, but the previous version used Symfony 3. So you can migrate the code base you have maybe in Symfony 3 or 4 to Symfony 5 by just, I mean, the just has quotes around, of course, because it's a lot of work. But you can just look at the deprecations, fix them, and move to the next major. And this will happen again in the future. So Symfony 5 is already, Symfony 5.1 is already triggering a few new deprecations that we are going to remove in Symfony 6 in 2 years. And we are going to remove them, of course, while removing the code that is deprecated now. And so this provides a continuous way for both providing stability and innovation. So the big superpower that Easy just has now is having an opportunity to drop code. That means deprecating, and maybe in the next time, at the next major version, being able to drop code. And that's how we manage with innovation in Symfony, and I think that's a critical part of our technical stacks in the web. You know about the Node.js ecosystem. They have new frameworks popping up every month, every week, and having a way to innovate along the years in a continuous way is kind of a superpower really for Symfony. So that's why I put this slide, because I really think it's kind of unique in the web ecosystem, all technologies included. There are people that do deprecations since always, of course, but we made it a really strong process. And I think Easy is now building on top of that, and that's going to allow them to move forward with innovating and dropping old codes, because we all have, of course. So, new features. I have some slides now running for what you can leverage from Symfony 5. So Symfony 5 is built on Symfony 4. There is absolutely no big bang change in Symfony 5. So the core set, the most important set of features is related to dependency injection and all the automation that we've added in Symfony 4. So maybe you've heard about auto wiring, auto configuration, auto discovery. Those are three processes that together allow removing most of the YAML configuration that people were used to code and to define when using Symfony, and so when using Easy. So auto wiring will figure out for you which service to inject in the constructor of your services. By looking at the type hint, there is some logic that will figure out that if you type in logger interface, this is the logger you might want to use. Auto configuration is about adding a dependency injection tag automatically based on the service, on the interfaces or the parent classes of some class of yours. So if you define some class that extends the common class from Symfony, the auto configuration system will tag it automatically to have it registered as a Symfony console command. So you won't have anything to do. And the same works, of course, for many other interfaces like twig extensions, form extensions, and many other things. And auto discovery is about looking at your source folder and loading all classes there as services. There's another big change which is very related to the auto discovery one, which is about private services. So if you're used to call and to use the container directly in your code base, maybe in your controller or maybe elsewhere, you might be used to do like container, this container get, and then router, logger, or anything really there. That won't work anymore. We made all services private. Okay, maybe not all of them, but most services are private, and all new services are private by default. This means you cannot get them anymore. It means since you cannot get them, you must inject them through the constructor or some equivalent dependency injection point. And this is a significant change in terms of design in the good way, because dependency injection is what enables testing easily and discovering dependencies. And so by having proper dependency injection, you benefit from the design pattern and all the promises related to change management in the future. So having services private also allows removing unused services, and this means better optimization of the DOM container. Abstract controller is the controller class that now is used by the default, the base controller from Easy also, and it provides helpers to quickly render a tweak template, to quickly get doctoring, to quickly create a form builder. So many useful, so it's a toolbox basically. I'm sure you already are using it. The way it works internally has been changed, and now it uses a service locator instead, inside, which is a smaller service container. It's not the main container, it's a service container that contains only the few services that are listed in the class for being registered and available to the controllers. So it basically benefits from everything before. So that's for dependency injection automation, which means wiring the classes together. But there are more to automation in Symfony 4. By more, I mean there is Flex. So Symfony Flex is a plugin, a composer plugin. And Symfony Flex automates installing and configuring new packages. If you don't have Flex, which means if you have a Symfony 3 application, so easy too. If you don't have Flex and you want to install a new bundle, you have to open the kernel class, you have to list your bundle there, then you have to add new YAML configuration files that you'll read about in the README of the bundle. Same for libraries. So actually there is a significant list of things you need to do to enable a package. And Flex does this automatically by reading a repository of recipes. And recipes are default configuration for known packages. So if you install a doctrine bundle in a new Symfony skeleton, there will be new YAML file that Flex will download for you, and Flex will put them in the correct folder, which should be config/packages, and there will be a new YAML file that Flex will have added and that will provide the default configuration. So basically, Flex knows how to install a new package with useful defaults, and it also knows how to uninstall a package, which is nice because it allows you to experiment with API platform. So you type composer require API, Flex will resolve API as an alias to the API platform package, and it will download the installation files. You can play with that, and type composer remove API, and Flex will undo all the steps that were required to install this to uninstall API platform. And that's all the automation steps that are provided and are inherited from Symfony 4, and that should make the experience much more productive and seamless. I have a pro tip for you, which is about a new console command, which is called debug auto wiring. If you run this command in an easy and a Symfony application, you will see the list of possible type hints that you can use in your application, and that Symfony will auto-wire for you. So it means it's the list of services that Symfony knows about. So there is a logger interface in the list, of course, but there are many more. There is the cache interface, there is the translator interface, validator interface, and so on. So basically, this is the list of useful services that are provided by bundles in your application. So that's the menu of a Symfony application. There are much more services in the Symfony application, but most services are not useful to be accessed directly. And if you want to restrict to the useful list of services, type this command and you'll see it, the menu. So of course, there are much more features. So this is a feature contributed by Andre, and it's about the cache component. So you know that Easy loves caching things. That's part of the performance of the stack. And in this case, Easy is using Redis as a backend for tagged cache items. And Andre figured out that the previous implementation, or we have a default implementation that requires 2 round trips to a Redis server. So Andre contributed a new tag-aware adapter that knows better about Redis. It's not a generic adapter. It's one that knows how to leverage Redis in a more efficient way, and that saves 1 round trip. It means that now we can use tagging and do only 1 round trip to fetch an item. So it's a really nice improvement, especially when you have a lot of round trips to do, which means a lot of items to fetch from Redis, which is the case with Easy and many significant installations. So thank you, Andre, for that. People have contributed much more things. So this is, again, on the performance topic. So this is at the beginning of Symfony 5.0. We released Symfony 5.0 without looking much at the performance of some pieces of the stack, and then someone did it. So those are 2 screenshots on the dev environment for the left side and on the prod left, dev right. So those are 2 performance improvements in the serializer component with basically better code that we figured out we could improve. So you will get that if you use the serializer component. It's now faster. Then there are a lot of features. I'm going to, I've selected just a few ones because the list is too big. I mean, 5.0 and 5.1, they have each at about 500 lines in the feature changelog. So on the messenger component, so messenger component has been released, I think, 2 years ago, and it has been improved a lot along the year because it has been experimental for many months, and many core contributors and active contributors improved it a lot. So now it is doing proper failure management with proper retries, and yeah, basically it works. So that's the way, the recommended way in Symfony Stack for any background tasks like sending emails, processing images, or anything you want really to not put on the hot path when serving a web request. The HTTP client is a new component that has been introduced 1 year ago, and that allows doing HTTP requests, of course. It's designed with the modern web in mind. The modern web means HTTP2. HTTP2 means async, multiplexing, streaming. And it's also been designed for the best possible developer experience, which means a simple interface to use when you need to do simple things, and of course a powerful interface when you need to do more advanced things. There is a new component which is Mailer with the sidekick, which is MIME. So Mailer is the replacement for Swift Mailer. Swift Mailer was difficult to maintain. If you look at the code base of Swift Mailer, you'll be surprised by the design, the internal design. It's not modern PHP anymore. And the Mailer component is designed to leverage the other Symfony components at the maximum, so that the Mailer component itself can be lean. So an example is the HTTP client. Doing a mailer, sending a mail nowadays means also doing, most of the time, doing HTTP requests to consume some API from Mailjet, Mailgun, or Amazon, and so on. And so that's part of the reason also why we created the HTTP client component, actually, to be able to build the mailer and yeah, have it clean. So we improved the error handler component. This one is a very technical one, but it's useful to catch PHP warnings, notices, and turn them into exceptions, or catch deprecations and silence notices or warnings and put them in the log file so that you can still know about them. There's a new feature related to secrets management. So you can now commit your secrets in the Git repository. By committing, of course, there is encryption that comes into the game. So there are a few new commands: bin console, secret set, secret list, that allow you to create an encrypted file with the secrets inside, encrypted. And then deploying those secrets are maybe easier for some workflows for people that don't need extremely advanced workflow with Vault database and so on. It should fit many use cases and many needs. So to use the secrets management, of course, there is a decryption key, and this is the only secret that needs to be dealt with in a special way. And as soon as you manage to put the decryption key on the production server using whatever deployment strategy, maybe just setting an environment variable, a persistent one, on your hosting provider, which is how it works actually in Easy Cloud, then you can decrypt live what is stored in the Git repository. We have a new feature that allows migrating passwords. By migrating, I mean rehashing password to a new algorithm. So if right now you don't encrypt hash your password, I hope you do. Or if you hash them using some weak algorithm like MD5 or SHA-1, or if you have something weaker than bcrypt, thanks to this feature, you'll be able to migrate your hashes from the old algorithm and upgrading them to the new algorithm. So it can be bcrypt or argon2 or what you want with any parameters you'd like. We have a new component, which is still experimental in Symfony 5, which is the notifier one. So notifier allows sending notifications like on Slack channels, on Telegram, on WhatsApp, through small text, small message, short message systems, so text messages, and many other providers. There are more coming every month. And that's a quick and easy way to send notification like admin notification or user notification when something happens and you want to notify user about. And we have a new technical component, which is the string component. So the string component is about managing strings using an object-oriented API. So we have a length method, a sub str method, and basically all methods you need to manage strings, but using object-oriented API and using different unit systems. So you know about multi-byte strings, you know about UTF-8, you know about bytes. And so cutting a string means sometimes deciding which unit system you want. Do you want to cut at the first byte or at the first Unicode character, or etc. So I'm not going too much deeper into the topic, but basically that's something that is actually needed all the time. There are some work that happened under the hood, like adding tab declarations. Symfony 5 has much more tab declarations. This has been possible thanks to bumping to PHP 7.2 as the minimum PHP versions. PHP 7.2 implements some variants and contra-variants checks that are compatible with adding type hints without breaking backward compatibility. So we did it. So that was for Symfony 5.0, and last Sunday we released 5.1. So you can check on the blog again. So 5.1 has a new updated security subsystem. So basically, if you know about Guard, it's based on Guard, an improved and a more generic version of Guard. And all the previous system is still there, still works, but we are now experimenting with a new subsystem, and maybe we'll deprecate the current one if the new system works well. The goal, of course, is to make this much easier to deal with so that people do less mistakes. And you know that doing a mistake in a security subsystem might lead to security issues. So that's part of some kind of safety measure, making it simpler to make it correct. We have a new UID component, which allows generating UIDs, universally unique identifiers, but also ULID, which means universally, lexically, something like that. Basically, they are sortable. And with some helpers, to do unique IDs, we have new features to make it easier to stack decorators. So if you know, that's kind of an advanced feature, but if you know about decorators in Symfony dependency injection, it's kind of tricky to get correct because you need to specify the decorates key. And if you want to decorate several times, then it's complex to reason about. Basically, this makes it easy. That's all I'm going to say about that. I will invite you to check the blog if you want to know more about that. We improved the HTTP client, so now it's portable, and it's portable for doing HTTP2. Before, in 5.0, doing HTTP2 means installing the curl extension, and thanks to the AMP project, it's now possible to do HTTP2 without any extension. You just need to have the PHP engine there, and you have it, of course, and you'll be able to do HTTP2. There's a class to do cursor control in the console. So there is already a tweet I saw yesterday in the repository from David Bushman, who created a snake game using the Symfony console. That's really funny. We have better support for type properties, which is a new feature of 7.4, etc. There is a last feature I wanted to highlight, which is support for PHP 5.4 preloading. So preloading is something that is difficult to master. So we spent almost 1 year figuring out how it works first, if it works, because it was segfaulting a lot. Now it's much better, it works actually. And figuring out how to generate the best preloading script for you. So I'm not going much into the details, but basically if you have a fine-tuned preloading script, and Symfony should be able to auto-generate one out of the box, and if you enable preloading with this script, you should be able to remove all the time spent in the autoloader. And this accounts for 15 to 20% in all applications I've monitored or I've profiled. So that's something you should be able to reclaim from the engine. So, which is nice because it comes free. Symfony does the work for you, generating the script, and then you use it and it works, and that's all. So that's my light slide. Basically, the message here is that by embracing Symfony 5, Easy Platform does the split, which is innovation, or borrowing innovation from Symfony, which is how things should be, and providing stability, because Symfony 5 is also very stable and will be stable for the next few years, as I told you at the beginning. So good idea, easy. I think you did a good choice, and I know that we have a great technical interactions with Andre, for example, and that we care for each other, and that's how I like community efforts, shared community efforts in our ecosystem. So thank you also for using Symfony as part of the stack. If you want to know more about Symfony 5, there is a book from Fabian, Symfony 5, the fast track. So I encourage you to buy it and to read it, because it allows building, it explains how to build a Symfony 5 application using all the components I told you about and more. Of course, you can also attend the SymfonyCon Disneyland conference that will happen in next December. and hosting on Symfony Cloud, why not? So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the talk. And if you have any question, I'm available and ready to answer them. Thank you again.
Thank you, Nicolas. And I think you kind of mentioned it, but adding to what you said, we did pick Symfony 5 over 4.4 LTS for performance reasons, as you said, and it's supported into 2025. And those that follow on Ibexa or EC platform knows that it will be supported 3 plus 2 years. So that's a good thing. It's a good match. And of course, taking advantage of all the incoming features you guys are doing. Just looking at the recent blog post Fabian did now this weekend, I think we did the right choice. It seems I really recommend everyone here to have a look at all the features introduced in 5.1. So thank you. Doesn't seem like we have any questions actually. So thank you, Nicolas, a lot for your hard work on Symfony and also for taking the time to present for us regarding Symfony 5.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for hosting me again, and have a good day.
Likewise. So that is it from us here today. Hope you all enjoyed the online event we had there, and hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot.